Welcome to the Happy Dog Podcast. This podcast is designed to bring you ideas and uplifting information to help you live a meaningful and fulfilled life with your dog from a holistic perspective. Now, let's explore the world of a happy dog. Welcome to episode 8 of the Happy Dog Podcast. I am here today with Dr. Angelique Barbara, who's also called Dr. Angel by many of her clients. She is a doctor of chiropractic who holds additional degrees in veterinary science, equine science, and founded Angel's Animals Holistic Animal Courses for professionals, pet parents, in order to explore the world of animal massage and bodywork modalities. So thank you so much for doing this and talking to me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Why don't we start by you telling me and everybody who's listening what initially drew you into animal bodywork?
Well, when I was a kid, I had horses growing up, and it was pretty well accepted in the horse world to have chiropractic and massage done on horses. So I was exposed to that from a fairly young age, and I always found it really interesting. One of the ladies who boarded at the stable that I was at was a human chiropractor, and she also did equine chiropractic. So she would work on my horses, and I always thought that was pretty neat. So it was something that I always thought of as a possibility, but then I kind of went more towards the allopathic veterinary side of things. As far as when I went to school and I was doing my vet side degree, I was kind of leaning more towards that, going into the veterinary pathology. But then I had a horse of my own that developed laminitis, which is a condition where there's inflammation going on in the lamina of their feet, which is, I know the hoof looks like it's just one big kind of solid horn or nail, but it's not. It's actually inside, there's live tissue. And when that becomes inflamed, the bone that sits in there called the coffin bone can sink down, and it's really painful for the horse. It's actually one of the leading causes of horses having to be euthanized. And it just kind of got me thinking more about holistic ways of doing things. There was somebody who was doing something called natural hoof trimming, and she came out and worked on my horse and started doing some other bodywork stuff and some nutrition. So it just got me looking at things a little bit more holistically, trying to look at the whole picture, which eventually led to me wanting to change paths a bit and go into chiropractic and do that route.
Got it. Very cool. And so would you say that you practice like from a holistic standpoint in your chiropractic work?
Yeah. So yeah, it's really important for me when looking at animals to try to take everything into consideration, which is basically what the definition of holism is, because the traditional veterinary or even the traditional medical doctor way of looking at things is to look directly at the problem. Mm-hmm. So like say that an animal, was favoring a leg, they would just want to look at that leg, x-ray the leg, examine the leg, which can be beneficial if the problem is there, because sometimes it is, but you also have to look at other aspects of what may be going on in different parts of the body, because it's all connected through fascia and muscles and different things. So there might be something going on at a completely different location of the body that also needs to be addressed, or it might be something that's nutritional or, has to do with their environment. And there's a lot of different things that can come into play. So I think it's important to take it all into consideration and be able to see that whole picture rather than just looking at the one individual area.
For sure. Yeah. And so when it comes to massage and bodywork therapy for animals, why do you think then, like from a holistic perspective, I know you mentioned the fascia, but why do you think it's so effective? Or not even why you know it's so effective?
Well, I think massage and different forms of bodywork can be effective for anybody, people including, but I think one of the reasons that it works so well on animals is because animals don't carry a lot of the emotional baggage that people do. Because I am a licensed human chiropractor as well, but I only work on animals now. But with my past experience working with people, it just seems like it takes them a little bit longer to maybe let go of things, and there's an emotional component to a lot of their pain and stuff that's going on. And animals tend to let go of that a little bit easier, and they tend to respond quicker to the different therapies. So I think that's one of the reasons that it works so well for them. They're just really in tune to it and they pick up on it sometimes quicker than people do.
And was there any sort of like aha moment for you? I know when, obviously you shared with us about the horse and that detail earlier when you're going into this type of work, but was there, because you teach a lot of about massage, and that's how I
Mhm.
got certified, was massage through you. And so was there kind of this light bulb that went off for you in terms of massage for canines and horses and cats too? I know you do
Um,
massage with.
yeah, you can massage pretty much anything. Yeah, so for me, it kind of started off more as from a chiropractic perspective. And to be an animal chiropractor, you either have to go to human chiropractic school or to veterinary school. And I went to human chiropractic school, and they don't teach you anything about animals in human chiropractic school, but once you're there, you are then qualified to take additional courses in animal chiropractic. So that's where I started out. But then, even just seeing with my human patients how important soft tissue work was, I really started to incorporate that with my animal clients as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it just really got me thinking a little bit more about, doing soft tissue work, because when you're doing chiropractic, if you're having a lot of muscular issues and myospasms and stuff, it's not going to be as effective. So you really have to be able to reduce those first, and then also incorporating stuff like the kinesiology taping, which I know we can talk a little bit more about later. Just stuff like that. I saw it working so well in people that I thought, why not do this with animals? So started using that with them and just saw better results than I was already seeing. So I realized at that point how important that is to really address the soft tissues.
Got it. Yeah. And so speaking of kinesiology taping, I know you do really like that and see a lot of benefits. Can you explain how that works? Because I feel like it's like an more up and coming
Yeah.
way
Yeah, it's
to benefit. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's been around in the human side of things since about the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
but has definitely grown in popularity since then. But most people are familiar with it from watching the Olympics and different sports games. They'll see it on like a shoulder or on a knee or somebody's elbow, so they're familiar with it in that sense. But it's basically just an athletic tape that can stick directly to the skin on people, or with animals, we tape it directly over their hair. What it does is it has a lifting effect, a decompressive effect. When we tape the skin, it'll lift the skin directly. When we tape the hair of an animal, it'll lift the hair, which then lifts the skin underneath. And this lifting effect will actually allow the tissues underneath to have a little more space than they normally would, which can enhance blood and lymph flow. Um, and it can also take a little bit of pressure off of the pain receptors if they're having any kind of inflammation or injury to that area. And then as they move, it stretches and moves with them, which is unique in an athletic tape because most athletic tapes are more restrictive. So this still allows for full range of motion. But also while you're moving, it's stimulating the mechanoreceptors and the proprioceptors that are there, which are just little nerve endings that can help the body know where it is in time and space. So it gives the body some input of what's going on with its body parts. But the stimulation of that can help a lot as far as naturally decreasing the pain receptors and also just helping the animal be able to move a little bit more normally and have a more normal gait, which can become altered if an injury was present. So it's pretty cool stuff. It's something that a therapist can apply to an animal, and they can keep it on for a few days at a time, depending on the application. So it's something that you can kind of leave with them, so they can have a prolonged, effect of the body work even after the session's done.
And could you maybe give an example of like when you've used this on dogs and, kind of like the before and after?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, like for dogs, some common applications would be just like a back support taping. So, some dogs that are getting older, they might have a little bit of arthritis, and they might be starting to have trouble like jumping, in and out of bed or getting up into the vehicle and out and stuff like that. So, we can do a back support taping on them that just runs along either side of their back. And that just gives them a little feeling of support, and can also decrease any kind of pain associated with the arthritis. And it's a natural pain decrease. There's there's nothing added to the tape like steroids or any kind of chemicals or drugs in there that's doing that. It's just naturally causing the body to have a reduction in those pain receptors. So it's a pretty cool way to do that without having to, use any kind of medications or anything. But like a lot of dogs that are having issues like that, just applying that can make it easier for them to start being able to get up and down or get up into the bed or up into the vehicle, things of that nature. And then also with dogs that are having some disc bulges, which is actually really common in them, especially as they age, we can do some like hind end support if they're having a little bit of weakness in the hind end, which can help with their gait and give them a little more strength. And also with any kind of knee injuries like ACL tears and stuff of that nature, which is also fairly common, we can do supports for that as well. So those are kind of the common dog applications for it. Also, if they have any kind of injury, like if they bumped into something, they have some kind of swelling, we can do the fan cutting of the tape, which is where we just cut it into like little finger protections. Some of my students call it the octopus because it looks like an octopus, but we can do that cutting and place it down. And that really does a good job of reducing the inflammation. So there's a lot of different applications for it, but it is definitely something that a lot of dogs can benefit from.
Yeah, sounds like it definitely. And I was going to ask about, post-surgery rehab type situation with like ACL or CCLs.
We don't want to tape directly over the incision, but we can definitely use it around it to reduce inflammation immediately post-surgery. And then as the sutures or the staples are removed and that starts to heal up a bit, then we can do a support taping over it to give them some extra support during the recovery process.
Got it. Very cool. Well, that's on my list of things to learn and get certified in, as you know.
Yep, that's a good one. You're going to like that course.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what would you say is your favorite animal to perform massage therapy or body work on?
Yeah, I actually like working on all animals. They're all a little bit different. My favorite is probably the horses just because of the size of them, and it's really easy to visualize what you're doing and the changes that you're making. And a lot of them are also kind of really animated, so it's easy to see the releases and stuff like that. So they are probably one of my favorites, but I do really enjoy working on dogs and cats, which you wouldn't think a whole lot of them would be open to it, are usually really receptive to the body work. The sessions usually aren't as long, but they tend to respond pretty quickly to it, which is cool to see too.
Yeah, I had no idea you could really do body work on cats. I don't know why I never thought about it that way, but I think until I saw one of your courses that said you could, and I was like, that's makes sense for sure.
Yeah, they tend to actually respond quicker than dogs do, and they don't require as many sessions, it's pretty cool. Yeah, they do really well with it.
Why do you think that is? Just because they're typically smaller, or?
Yeah, I don't know exactly why that would be. I don't know. They just tend to respond a little bit quicker. They also don't tend to show a whole lot of lameness and stuff, which is fairly common in dogs. Cats don't tend to really get a whole lot of lameness. A lot of times when they're having imbalances in their body, it'll show up more as like organ issues.
Got it.
But you will see some lamenesses, but it's not as common. But for whatever reason, when you work on them, they do tend to respond a little quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Well, so tell us a little bit about the courses and the certifications that you offer. And I know they're available to anyone around the world too, right?
Yeah, so it's really cool. We have students in over 30 countries, which is really neat. I've been teaching animal bodywork courses. I started originally with the animal chiropractic, and then kind of stemmed out from there. But I've been doing this since 2010, and I believe it was about 3 or 4 years ago that we put these courses online, and it's really just grown from there. So it's really cool that I can get it out to people in different locations. Like we have a guy down in Kenya that got certified in equine massage and is really doing some great things down there for the horses there, and just people all over the world. So it's really cool to know that animals in all these locations are benefiting from these techniques. But yeah, right now we have animal massage, cranial sacral therapy, the kinesiology taping that we were just talking about. We also have a body alignment course that is a technique that I developed using some different techniques that I put together, but that's actually approved through the massage board. So it's actually
cool.
a soft tissue body alignment technique. So it's not something that you have to be a vet or a chiropractor for. If you have your massage certification, animal massage certification, you can go ahead and take that too. So that's a really neat technique.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have our Reiki course, which is our newest course. But these are available to people pretty much anywhere. If you want to practice animal body work to make money doing it, you have to check your local laws because they do vary significantly from location to location. So that's something that people just need to be aware of. Most states don't have a regulating board or a registry or a license for this, but some states do have some specifications on how you can practice, whether you
Mm-hmm.
need veterinary referral, or some states just say you can't do it at all unless you're a veterinarian. So you just got to look into that and make sure that it's legal and know what the laws are in your area. But we do also have courses for animal owners if they want to just learn how to do this on their own animals. We have massage and kinesiology taping non-certification courses for them as well.
Yeah, and I will say too, going through the massage certification program myself, that you are very much available to students, which was one of the things I appreciated the most, because it can be hard to navigate through everything and trying to find out what laws are and things like that. So you definitely give students a heads up and just pointing them in the right direction too, and answering any questions that might come up as well. So I enjoyed going through the whole process and plan on doing more for sure. But when it comes to certification, your courses are pretty in depth. They cover so many different aspects like anatomy, and you cover nutrition and diet, which is really great because that's something that I'd been studying for a while, but I really appreciated seeing it in this too. And I know we talked about how you consider yourself more of a holistic type of, chiropractor, body worker. Why in general do you feel like this is the way to approach, whether it's caring for your animals just in general or in the professional world of animal body work or vet medicine?
Yeah, I just think it's important for everybody, whether you're, an animal health professional or you're just an animal owner, to try to look at every aspect of that animal's life. And part of it's going to be, their health, which is going to be broken down into nutrition and exercise and just even mental stimulation. Animals need to be mentally stimulated. They need to have physical exercise. They need to be in a nice environment that's clean and they have access to everything that they need. And they like to be around us and interact with us. I think a lot of times, people just kind of leave their dogs home all day when they're at work and stuff. And you gotta look at all aspects of things that could be contributing
Mm-hmm.
in addition to, what's going on with them body wise. But yeah, I do think that food plays a big role. Environmental toxins, and that can be anything from like chemicals and pesticides around your area to, stuff that you're applying to them as far as like flea and tick meds and stuff like that. Being here in Florida where I am, it's kind of a necessity to do some pest control because we have it doesn't freeze here, so the bugs don't die, and we have
Yeah.
we can have a lot of fleas and ticks and different things going on. So some of that you can't avoid, but it's important then to be able to support your animal's immune system and know that they're able to deal with the stuff that they're being exposed to. So it's just important to look at every aspect of their lives.
Definitely. Yeah. I totally agree. And you have two French bulldogs that you
Mhm.
are looking out for that way as well, that are so cute. And do you have horses too then that you are a pet parent to?
I do, yeah. I have three horses at this time. Yeah,
Got it. Very cool. And
yeah.
so, since this is the Happy Dog podcast, I usually ask everyone, what do you think makes them happy? Your dogs, you can also talk about your horses too, or what you believe is, the key to happiness for our pets.
Yeah, I think like we've been saying, I think it's just a combination of things. I think the number one thing that makes them happy is interacting with us and being able to have quality time with us. Like I know my dogs, they're French bulldogs. They're kind of more on the lazy side. They're not real hyper and stuff, but they love going and doing stuff with me. So even if it's just them riding in the truck, like laying in their beds the whole time, that's exciting for them. That like they feel like they went and did something, even though they're just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just nice for them to be able to go out and do that and just get them out so that they're getting stimulated and seeing different things. And the horses too, like the horses like getting out, and like I just took one of them to the beach this last weekend, and we have
That's
this
awesome.
obstacle. Yeah, we have this place that does like obstacle courses and stuff. So I'll take them there and just gets their minds going, having to do different things so they don't get stuck in this routine of the same thing every day.
Mm-hmm.
But that, and then also just making sure that they're eating really good quality food, they have whatever supplements that they need and whatever health care that they need, making sure like with the horses, for example, we ride them. So obviously if they're having any kind of body issues, if they're sore, they'll usually let you know in one way or another when you're trying to ride them. So I think it's important with them to realize that if your horse is being moody or not wanting to do what you're asked of them, to try to look at their body and say, well, are they in pain? Is something going on? Is the saddle not fitting them right? Or, is there something going on physically that would be causing them to not want to do what I'm asking? Because I think a lot of people just assume that they're being stubborn or spoiled and want to
Mm-hmm.
push them through it, but they're not looking at what might be going on physically with them. So I think it's important to just kind of listen to your animals and try to figure out what it is that they might be trying to tell you, and yeah, just offer them everything that they need. A combination. I think combination of veterinary care along with body work, and with our horses, we also have to do equine dentistry because they have teeth that grow nonstop. So you have to float them down and make sure that the teeth are even, and you have to get their hooves trimmed and the whole thing. So it's a process.
A
So you
lot of
have to,
work, yeah.
yeah, you really have to be looking at everything and make sure it's all getting done correctly.
So do your dogs and horses then expect massages from you at this point?
Yeah, well, they do. Yeah, they get work done quite often.
Mm-hmm.
The dogs at least once a week. One of my dogs, Tabitha, that's a rescue. She was a puppy mill breeding dog,
Mm.
and I don't know why they decided to breed her because she's got really horrible conformation and she's got some
Oh.
anomalies. She actually has a hemivertebra in her thoracic spine, which causes a twist in it. She's got a scoliosis, and then
Mm.
she's got hip dysplasia on her right hip. So she gets worked on at least once a week, and that's what keeps her going. And then the horses get worked on periodically. And I actually have a pet pig too, who
Oh
was
my
a
gosh.
Florida wild. She was a Florida wild hog that I found when she was younger, and she demands her belly rubs. When
That's
she wants one,
awesome.
she just rolls over, and I go in and massage her.
Love it. And what would you say to pet parents who might be on the fence about pursuing massage therapy for their dogs or horses or even cats?
I would just encourage them to be open minded and to give it a try. You definitely want to make sure that you find somebody that has undergone the training and has a certification in it so that they know what they're doing. But I think overall, it can really be a beneficial thing. Most people have experienced massage themselves personally, so it's similar for your animals. It can really benefit them and help them out a lot, and also be open-minded to different things like chiropractic and acupuncture and stuff of that nature, because just like us, a lot of these animals can really benefit from it. And the great thing about it is it's a way to provide them with care that is drug-free and surgery-free, so it's a less invasive type of treatment. So instead of saving it as a last resort, because a lot of people will try everything else and then say, okay, now I'll try this.
Mm,
Try it as a first resort. And if you're not getting the results, then you can maybe go down the line of, whatever pain meds and medications and whatever surgeries and stuff. But it's kind of the same thing with people. If you go and do body work stuff first, a lot of times you can clear it up a lot quicker than if you wait, because once it becomes chronic and other stuff starts happening, it can be a little more difficult to fix it at that point.
definitely. And I would say too that because our pets can't exactly talk to us, that, why not try something if they're not feeling 100%, that, like you said, is non-invasive. And
Yeah.
again, too, it's about listening to them as best as you can,
Mhm.
even though we all wish, I think,
Yep.
that our pets could talk to us. So,
Yeah, definitely.
well, thank you so much for doing this episode. And where can people find more about you and the courses?
Yeah, so the best thing to do would just be to come to the website, and you can get there either by going to angelsanimals.com or holisticanimalstudies.org. That'll bring you to the same place. You can also find us on Facebook if you look up Angels Animals Holistic Animal Studies, or you can find me personally at Angelique Barbara DC. And yeah, just look it up, see what we have to offer, and like you were saying, if they need to get in touch with me and ask some questions, I try to make myself readily available and answer them as quickly as possible. So.
Yes, for sure. And I'll link all that information too in the show notes. And thank you so much for doing this podcast and for all the work that you're doing that helps horses and dogs and cats and pigs and all the animals.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So thanks so much. And we'll see you all on the next episode.